What up? Good morning, GMG. Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Look at that. Another beautiful day to have a beautiful day. I got my co-host in the house, Tyler. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm good. I feel like we're just in the waiting room right now for tomorrow and the second half of this week, which we are expecting to be really big day. A lot of news coming. Today it feels like we're kind of in the chop zone, just waiting it out. But still, some exciting things happening. So a lot to get into.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I wish Farcoin was in that waiting room with you right now. But my bags are definitely not in the waiting room. But it's okay. It's okay. My bags I got attacked in every bag overnight. Like my Farcoin's getting attacked. They get bombarded by Winter Nuke Classic to chase some longs. I mean, you guys keep leveraging long the fucking Pico top. I can't blame macro makers for dragging you out on a stretcher. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I wake up this morning, having my coffee, chilling. And I'm here chilling, maybe I DC into some REKT. Bang! $500,000 sale in one clip. It's funny, I was on Uniswap buying, and I was gonna buy, right? And then I just bought it lower then. I added something like $360 million. And then all my other money, everything's getting, attacked. But at least Papa Joe Lubin's out there making big announcements about Linea and Ethereum.
It is. Big ones.
We all know MYRIAD is my biggest bag. So we'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure. Today on the show, we'll talk markets. Of course, the great Mando. That was his original ticker, his original username. He's going to be back on the show tomorrow. But for now, we'll talk markets. So maybe we wait for the markets because we'll talk with Jason Atkins, who's going to join us from Oros. I think you guys really liked him on the show last time. We're bringing him back this time to get his outlook on the market and what's coming up. So we'll talk markets. But first, go through some news with Tyler, yada. Then Jason's going to join us. Then YEET giveaway. We gave away $900 yesterday to Rocky. Congratulations. He's already in here. Love the guy. So congrats for winning. So let's see who else is going to win a couple $1,000 today on the show. Hopefully someone's there to play some lamb chop with us. So yeet.com. Make sure that you sign up using our code FOMO hour. You know how to spell that. Y'all know how to spell that. And then last but not least, this show is powered by Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect is a connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon to trust in crypto is recognizable as Visa at checkout. Want to learn more? Follow Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. But also, my good friends over at Kraken Pro. With Kraken Pro, you get full control over your layout. Drag and drop any module. Customize it all. It's clean, it's smooth, and built for real traders. If you trade crypto, check out pro.kraken.com. Trade without trade-offs. Dude, I'm like full on AI at this stage. By the way, I don't understand. Why didn't we just like pre-record these ad reads so I don't have to do it every morning? This just hit me.
Gotta keep you on your toes, man.
Yeah. Okay. Good one. Yeah. I get it. Right, Tyler? Like we've had these.
I'm ready for a full AI version of myself that can do a lot of reads.
Yeah. Clearly, you and I don't buy the right bag, so we can have AI version of ourselves and retire with Mando. So definitely that's we're definitely not in the right place.
We will be
at the right time.
We're not there yet, but we will be. We're positioned.
Our time will come when the sellers who appear to be David Goggins on the Farcoin chart will get exhausted. That'll happen. Anyways, why don't we get right into it, Tyler, and see what you got for us today?
For daily NFT and crypto analysis, Tyler D on FOMO hour cause the kid can't miss.
Ready to bash some bears. Yeah, folks, red day out there. Majors are down about 1% to 2%. A lot of alts and memes are down even more in the 5 to 15% range. Bitcoin only down, it's down less than percent, 118,100 right now. We've got ETH down 1%, 3804, still above 38. Solana took a bit of a hit, down 5%, 181. So the majors, again, aren't that bad, but the rest of the board looks much worse. We did have the ETH ETFs. They kept their net inflow streak going, $65 million in inflows yesterday. That is the lowest total they've had in a few weeks now. We had Tron file with the SEC for a $1 billion shelf to issue mixed securities. So their securities are coming. We talked about this on the show yesterday briefly. Interactive Brokers considering launching a stable coin, and then PayPal announced the new Pay with Crypto campaign will accept over 100 cryptocurrencies for their small businesses. Ray Dalio, this was big. He came out, said he is now advising a 15% allocation to either gold or Bitcoin crypto for investors. He cited rising debt and market fragility as his drivers. Then big news right before the show out of Linea. Linea has announced their tokenomics. Huge. They've announced some ETH burns, the protocol level, native yield, and more. So we'll have to get into that. Big news out of Papa Joe. In corporate treasuries, Bitminer, they filed a shelf with the SEC. They're unlocking their pipe. They also announced a $1 billion share buyback. They also disclosed they now have 625,000 ETH. Sharpland Gaming, SBET, announced they've got 438,000. So some big upticks on the ETH Treasury board. We had this new CEA Industries ticker Vape. Their stock surged 700%. After news they're forming a $500 million BNB treasury. Mill City Ventures, $450 million raise to build a suite corporate treasury. That's the first. So all the majors, everything in the top 20, they're going to have a treasury go. Just write it down now. In token airdrop and protocol news, Plasma completed its XPL public sale. $370 million committed, more than 7x oversubscribed. So massive demand for Plasma right now. MetaMask came out with 2 announcements: in-wallet Sol staking along with stablecoin earn, basically native yield directly in wallet. Abstract introduced wallet delegation, allowing users to link any EVM wallet to the Abstract global wallet and earn XP. That's a big unlock, a big pain point I've seen users point to. Proof of Play teased a new game coming to Abstract. And then Let's Bonk, I tweeted this out yesterday, market share, 83%, Pump market share around 8%. As Pump continues to decline. Rounding this out, in AI crypto, the AI board was very red, down about 6% overall. Arguably the most interesting story of the day was this AI agent Ribita tied to the Tibber token and bought that clown Punk for 89 ETH. It apparently was an agentic purchase, and they announced plans for a broader token economy. That Tibber token ran 57% on the back of that news. We had the MLG Memecoin briefly soar 100% after FaZe Banks shared that he exited his whole position, though it has since retraced a bit. And then CryptoPunks, 35 sales, $8 million in action. That floors up to 206,000. All the aesthetic punks are getting lifted. Fidenzas were also up 25%. They're kind of catching up to punks. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a Fidenza flip. Then NBA Top Shots, they are now in vending machines in Japan.
I saw that. That's sick.
Cool article in Decrypt. Logan wrote that for us. So I thought that was a cool story as well. New distribution mechanism. And yeah, that was the rundown.
I love that. I love that. A lot of good stuff going on here. Maybe we quickly start with the Linea and Ethereum stuff. It's I guess like super relevant, right? Ethereum again, strong, just chill, dude. It's giving no dips, man. Like it's really given no dips. Pretty wild. But let's start maybe with that, and then let's move on to the next news.
Yeah. So Linea has been building an Ethereum layer too. We've known this for a while. Pretty big blockbuster announcement this morning, introducing native ETH yield, protocol level ETH burn, and this new largest ecosystem fund, where they also announced their tokenomics. So they are saying they'll be the first L2 to burn ETH at the protocol level. 20% of all transactions that are paid in ETH will be burned, which will be effectively reducing the ETH supply. They also announced that all ETH deposits are going to be producing staking rewards automatically. So this is your native yield. You bridge ETH over to Linea, it will start earning yield. And then they share their tokenomics. That Linea token, we've known it's coming. It looks like we've got our first glimpse into how the token will be distributed. 15% to their treasury, 85% to the ecosystem, 10% to early contributors for the ecosystem. Looks like they are going to be directing funds towards builders, Ethereum public goods, research, and development. It's going to be managed by the Linea Consortium, which has folks from Eigen, ENS, Sharpland Gaming, Status, and more. And like rounding this out, full Ethereum equivalent tech, ETH is gas token, ETH burn, capital efficient mechanics, eco first tokenomics, steward governance. It's a compelling pitch, and they're really leaning into a lot of the Ethereum decentralization ethos. And now we've got our first glimpse of the tokenomics. So
dare I say, finally an L2 that brings value to the mother chain?
I think that's well said.
Like, have we seen this before? Like L2's, the biggest concern around L2 is that they derive value out of Ethereum L1, right? Into their pockets. Their token, their pockets, everything. And it looks like, Linear right now is arguably could become one of the, if not the most Ethereum aligned L2 here.
It's ETH-centric. I think that is very obvious.
20% of all net transaction fees paid in ETH will be burned directly. That's big.
That's huge. The native yield is huge. I mean, Blast went down the native yield route. So I don't know exactly how the mechanics are different from how Linea is going to operate from how Blast did it. But that's also just super nice. I mean, people don't understand that. It means if you put your ETH on Linea, you're going to start earning on it, which is really
that TVL
nice.
is probably going to skyrocket, right? Let's revisit where they are at right now. Linea here. So 160 mil. Well, that was much lower when we when I looked at Linea, when we started working with them on the protocol expansion there, it was quite lower.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that go back to all-time high fairly rapidly.
We were here. It was we started talking to them a while ago, but it was around here. It's 120 or something. So that's 160 is a big change already.
In SharpLink, I'm the other wild card in the room, right? SharpLink has $1.7 billion in ETH. So if they start parking some of that on Linea, that's going to increase the TVL.
Well, I sent you some tweets from Joe, and I have no information on this, but do you think they're going to tokenize SBET on Linea or some shit? I feel like they're talking about this a lot. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I literally have no information on these guys at all, but I'm just thinking I don't know. This seems like
that would make sense, right? I think Joe's has been vocal about tokenization. That's kind of where the puck is going. I don't expect that in the next quarter, in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah,
sure, very non-zero to do that. I think that would be a nice unlock, right? I still think there's this separation of capital that's deployed into stocks and crypto.
Yeah, of course.
For me, it definitely is separate. So it just has to be, right? And there's not a whole lot. We have the X stocks; they're coming out. There's a handful of them. Liquidity's there. It's still not fantastic, but it'll be getting better and better.
They're on fire, dude. I mean, I told everyone pay attention to the 10th anniversary of Ethereum on the 30th. Of course, it's gonna be a bunch of announcements. There's a bunch of events right now in New York, stuff like that. I was meant to be there this week, can't make it. But there's a lot of stuff going around, man. I don't think they're done here on the announcement side. So this is actually good. This is actually pretty good, and I don't think this is gonna stop anytime soon. And very excited to see what comes out of the team over there. This is a good time to be building on ETH, right? And for what's worth, it's probably going to drag all L2s up with them, right? We've seen Arbitrum was the leader of ETHCC with Robinhood. There's a lot of positive momentum on there. Obviously, still what Luca's doing on the pudgy side going to bring mass attention and people abstract. That's always something that's kind of a sleeper at this stage. But I did see Saigar post some good news yesterday around that. And then you have Joe just punching forward with Linea. So it's dude, it's gonna get interesting on Ethereum.
They're rolling. SharpLink is dropping announcements every other day, it seems. And then now MetaMask is too, right? It's MetaMask is hold our beer. We're gonna start rolling out. So they had two announcements with the Solana in-wallet soul staking validating, and then also the stablecoin yield.
Wow.
In-wallet. So they're cooking over at Consensus.
There's a lot. It's almost like these people started Ethereum. It's almost like that, right? For those who don't know,
big if true, and
for what it's worth, a lot of people may not know the story. I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, but obviously Joe Lubin's a co-founder of Ethereum, aka the person helped fund the entire thing with Vitalik, etc., and the core devs, right? There were a few of them. So Joe Lubin's literally co-founder of Ethereum, and then Consensus was meant to be the marketing arm to Ethereum and to be the company that was meant to help, start it, push it, help it, right? Bootstrap it, right? So Consensus was this company that was meant to do so, and then out of that spun out a ton of the biggest companies that you guys know. back then it was Gnosis, like literally, you have MetaMask, Infura, all this big stuff, and then the Mesh, which is the investment arm of Consensus, because that's Consensus Software, Consensus Mesh has done a ton of investments in the page in the industry. So there's just like they're super deep into Ethereum and everything. So it's in their best interest that this works well, but I feel like they're also approaching it the right way. So super bullish on that and excited to see what happens the rest of this week. Anyways, What else, Tyler?
So related to the ETH before we transition, Tom Lee and Bitmine, they had a couple announcements. So their pipe unlock happens today. So that's where the initial investors who got in at a lower share price, they are now officially able to sell. We saw what this did to the SBET stock. Typically, this is where these Treasury Coast stocks see a price decrease and kind of rebalancing, resettling. But then they also announced a buyback plan, which is a little, I guess it caught me a little bit by surprise. So one of the main ways these companies are raising capital to buy ETH is by selling their stock shares at the market, their ATM programs. So now they announced this buyback of up to $1 billion, which is kind of like stopping that. Like it goes against the core idea of the ATM. So that caught me off guard. I need to dig into it a little bit more, but I wonder if it's perhaps a tactic to stop some of the big drastic sell-off coming right out of their pipe. Their stock is down 9% today. It's at 32, still trading at 3.6 billion. And again, I rattled this off in the minutes, but they have 625,000 ETH. They're still number one. And then SharpLink's got 438. So over 1 million ETH now held in Bitmine and SharpLink. That was not held there a couple months ago. So the accumulation is very real, and that is what's helping keep ETH afloat. I'll be curious to talk to Jason to see his thoughts on what the sell pressure on ETH looks like against this huge buy wall, because this buy wall is clearly there, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. So that's the story. Another ETH adjacent headline, Punks.
Yeah.
We got to talk about this Punks rally.
Yeah.
From yesterday. We got to pull up the sales board. I think what was most notable about what was happening yesterday, it wasn't just floor sweeps. It was aesthetic punks above floor, even mid tiers getting picked up. Like the top hat.
Ooh, new zombie listing.
Wow.
That's getting lifted today.
That could be explosive.
This zombie's getting lifted by Friday max at 4 million. Anyway, sorry. I'm just looking at this. I'm like, dude, 4 mil, that could get lifted very quick.
1,100 ETH. So and it's still 40x.
Oh, there's one here. There's 1949. Okay. I didn't realize so many people got listed. Okay. The zombie could get lifted soon here.
That would be exciting.
Hey, take us to the punk sweep. I missed it, actually. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a handful of different buyers. We had the top hat sell for 85. We had the clown sell for 89. I'll come back to that and why it was meaningful. A few nice fedoras selling at 65. Basically, like any nice looking punk above floor just got picked. So the floor is going to get thinner and thinner here. It's sitting at 53. So it's down 202,000. I saw it 206 this morning, but $8 million in volume, which is huge for where we've been at lately. But then I also looked at the Solana meme board, and there's still 10 memes seeing more than $10 million in daily volume. And yes, I understand it's different, but I think we've got more room to go there. But arguably the most interesting punk sale of the day was the 89 ETH clown that sold for 89. 337,000.
Tibber and Mickey Malka and all those guys, right?
Yeah, let me tell the story real quick. So there's been speculation on this Tibber token since its creation that it's tied to Mickey Malka and Ribbit Capital. Mickey is the founder of Ribbit Capital. Tibber is literally Ribbit spelled backwards. Some sleuths put this together. They did some on-chain analysis. They tied some of the wallets back to Mickey. So what happened yesterday? We had this Ribbit account. That's a Twitter account. Announced that it was the one that bought the 89 ETH clown. It went on to describe, like, this is an AI agent running the account as we understand it. It announced that the analysis that it went through to pick out this punk particularly how it scanned all of them, found the perfect one, and then landed on this, and then made the purchase. And then it goes into what's happening next. So it's going to give out soulbound NFTs to all the Tibber token holders and then build out a token economy. The Tibber token soared about 50% on the news. Is back to all-time high, 130, 140 million or so. I think the reason this is significant, for one, it looks like the speculation may be somewhat based in reality. We don't have full confirmation. There's no statement from Mickey Malka that he's tied to this yet. We did see a response from someone on the Ribbit Capital team, shared the eyeballs in response to that Clown Punk purchase. That was the first time we'd seen that EVA person do that. And then other folks are taking this as this has been a stealth project, that this is perhaps them moving out of stealth. So the folks in the Tibber chat's quite excited about all this. I think still a bit in the speculation phase, but perhaps moving out of it.
I think it's pretty obvious. No.
Yeah. Disclosure, I do hold this. I've been holding it for a while. I haven't been wanting to talk about it too much on the show because it was so speculative. And we didn't have that much evidence, but now we've got a little bit more. So
interesting.
It went viral.
It did. It definitely did. There's 152,000 views on this thread from the punk there. That's interesting. I see Jason in the studio. We'll get to you in a second, Jason. Tyler, what else you got for this? There's like a fun news day yesterday. It's like a lot of different things. I like it.
Yeah, I thought the Top Shot story was fun.
Yeah.
If you have the article from Decrypt, Logan wrote about just the quick TLDR is for the first time they've launched their Top Shot packs in these smart vending machines in Japan. And I think what's cool about it is buyers don't need crypto. They don't need wallets. They can just use their phone, scan a QR code. They can pay via Apple Pay, Google Pay, and they can buy a pack. In the back end, it'll set up a Flow wallet for them. They'll receive the pack. They'll be able to open it, and they'll effectively be onboarded. I think that they're selling them for 1,000 yen, which is like $7 or so. So, a very approachable entry price. And it's just a cool new potential onboarding mechanism, right? I don't think this is like Top Shot onboarding all of Japan, via this smart vending machine, right? But it is a cool tactic, and I'm curious if I can see this model working, right? It needs to be for the specific type of NFT project. Like this is not how Bored Apes are going to sell or Pudgy Penguins.
No,
but for like your Pokemon style projects, that cheaper entries, a lot higher supplies, right? That type of collectible, I can see this making sense. So cool story. Go dig into it if you want to read more about it. But caught me by surprise.
Yeah, I liked it. This is really cool. Top Shot, dude. We keep saying it. I think Top Shot's got a product that can probably just stick around. People like sports. People like what they're doing. So that's always kind of going to be around, right? Like collectibles. But they were the first one too. So there's always going to be these people that kind of. Oh, should I have to put this thing? And then that kind of can stick to like collecting like OG NFTs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Top Shot's kind of up there, I guess. You think about it? Dapper Labs, Flow.
The model always made sense to me. I still prefer holding digital sports collectibles over physical. Team sticking around.
Yep. Definitely a lot going on there. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about this MLG crash ad, or it's not new?
Yeah, I mean, I was barely involved. I try not to give too much of my attention time to this group of folks. But basically, like Bakes came out, said that like being involved in this Memecoin like was a terrible part of his life. He sold it all, took like $106,000 loss or so, he claims. And then as soon as he was out, folks started buying that MLG token. It briefly spiked 150%, hit 20 million or so. I'm seeing now it's up 70% on the day at 15. So if you are an early MLG holder, like pre-Banks days, like this is probably like your hallelujah moment. And like Deez is in this group. So like Deez actually held MLG.
Yeah, he did.
Early, very early, but before those guys all jumped in. And now it's like, is it going to return to its roots? Probably still a bit of overhead to work through, right? Like I don't know if this thing is just going to shoot right back up to all-time highs, but it perhaps is a little bit cleaner now. I think they said they were going to do a space like Aiden Ross and Biggs. I don't know if they actually did. I was not listening or
crazy, bro. The timeline is never dull. Like there's always something going on there. It's pretty hilarious, actually. But anyways, okay, looks like this is a good roundup, right?
Yeah.
But a new interview with Joe Lubin just dropped like 20 minutes ago.
Nice.
With CoinDesk, so it's probably one worth digging into here. I just saw that. Probably a lot of stuff. Listen, he came on the show like 2 months ago, and he dropped a ton of alpha. And look at what happened after that, dude.
Yeah,
he couldn't like talk too much with us. He's like hinting, then bang, just so much been going on. Anyways, a lot of good stuff. And you absolutely love to. So let's bring Jason on here. Jason, good morning.
Hi, fellas.
Or
how you doing?
Actually, how you doing?
I think I was just listening to what you were saying. I think last time I was on the show was right after Joe Lubin was on, the day after.
Well, we had to post you because Joe is coming on.
I was actually waiting for the call up this week tonight for you to say I can't because Linear got announced and Joe's going to hop on and we're going to bump you again.
We had to keep that for last.
Going to be the last straw.
Yeah, Donald Trump, Mark Cuban, Joe Lubin, Jason
There we
Atkins.
go.
You know,
there we go.
Like,
you're starting that loop again. You just got to get Trump back up.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like now we got to get this going. Anyways, Jason, how you doing, man? Been a while.
I'm good. You look like you're embracing the Portugal life. That moustache is something, huh?
I got to shave again, so I can go full stash, you know. But
there we go.
They're working out, doing our thing, you know.
How you doing, Tyler? You all right?
I'm good. Yeah, summer is picking up a little bit. We've got a lot of weekly action right now.
It feels like a weird summer. I feel like I was thinking that last year's summer, everyone was like, oh, everyone's away, like no vibes, no momentum, nothing. This year we're like pushing all-time highs. People, I guess, still doing summer, but it kind of feels like there's a lot more going on for a June, July sort of period. So I guess we'll see what August brings in a couple of days.
Well, this is why you're on here, Jason. You know, Tyler and I was like, yo, let's get someone to come talk markets with us on film this morning because our beloved Mando's been off for a week. I mean, he's too rich for us now. You know, we can
That's
tell
the all-time high problem, right? People
we can tell by the way
again.
he tweets. Yeah, we can tell by the way he tweets. You know, you just know when Mando's up a lot, the way he starts replying to people on Twitter. And then we decided, hey, let's bring someone who knows the markets and wants to talk about where we're at. Tyler, I've been talking a lot about how we're in this weird place. We're kind of ranging at the all-time highs, and then also not really picking up. Are we
like ETH's up at? I mean, ETH's not at all-time highs, but ETH's up 50 something percent in the last month or so. We talked about this last time I was on the show. I think it was like before all this stuff happened a couple of months ago, and like all the treasury strategies were just starting to get fleshed out, and that institutional demand, I guess you can probably call it, wasn't really pulsing through the market yet. But you're seeing this like persistence of like underlying demand going right back to when the ETFs got approved. You've got that constant inflow, and then now you've got the treasury vehicles coming in, and it's just economics 101 at this point. Like dust off your old textbook, and supply demand curves don't change. It's at the end of the day, I think I heard just as I was joining the waiting room, you guys were talking about like who's selling. There is supply coming into the market. I think like a lot of the memeing about like we're running out of Ethereum is echoing the same sort of things that happened with Bitcoin, right? There's no more Bitcoin left. OTC desks are screwed. There's nothing to sell. Doesn't really work like that. There's always a price that someone's willing to sell at. Like I'd sell my bag at some level. A lot of people would sell at certain levels. So I think what you're seeing in the ETH chart, who's going to be rotating out, a lot of people got burned back when we touched 4,000, a year and a bit ago, and then rode it all the way down to $1,500. I think it was $1,400. So you got to think that there are like bag holders out there that have been pretty traumatized by this. A lot of people will start to look at technicals. RSIs are overstretched. I know you guys look at charts a lot. That stuff will start to play into factors. And then you got to remember, with institutional bids comes institutional style trading. So the guys that are buying the ETFs are also like trading them the way that they trade other ETFs. And those guys aren't like your traditional Bitcoin buy and hold, Michael Saylor style buy blindly and just hold no matter what price action comes. You got to remember that crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all the majors have traded volatile markets because the underlying buyers and sellers are these wild speculators. If you want to bring in institutional players, you have to remember they are institutional traders. They trade very, very differently. They have risk limits, they have investment committees. So you don't expect these moves to be as like one directional squeezy. They will take profit, and there will be periods of, like, to your point, for a like sideways chop that feels to us like highly tuned to volatility people, it's going to feel a lot like a different sort of move higher. So who's selling? It's there's always going to be sellers. There's guys rotating out. I think you probably talked about it already on a previous show, but like the unstaking queue was massive at one point for Ethereum. So like there are little signals that people that are sitting on big bags now that were very small bags less than a year ago are like, I'm going to take profit on half my bag or a quarter of my bag just because that's sensible profit taking and trading. So yeah, I think the treasury scenario will obviously add more momentum to this trade as it's doing already. The treasury trade, rather, like a lot of these treasury strategies that are coming through for various tokens, but you will see rotation and you will see people taking profit. That's going to slow some of this down. So not to like rain on anyone's parade. I think ultimately the institutional demand is overwhelming and will continue to be, but like it's not going to be watermelon seed being squeezed and no resistance to the top side. There will be periods of resistance.
Why are we getting on the show today, man?
Sorry. Sorry. This was the group of people that weren't rich enough to not do podcasts or interviews.
Looks like we're going to have to show up next week as well.
Yeah.
We were talking to Udi last Friday about Bitcoin, and one of his core theses is effectively that the sell pressure on Bitcoin is mostly alleviated from the ancient whales, and that the buy pressure will be able to send it forward now versus ETH, which has to chop through that more. That there's a lot more ancient ETH whales, ICO buyers, that sort of thing to churn through before it really goes to the next level. So I was curious, is that your read? Do you think we're going to be chopping around this 4K level longer than perhaps we thought? So there's a point where we thought we were just going to straight line to all-time high, and I'm very guilty of falling into straight line bias.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any resistance level. Usually, I mean, traditional financial markets, like let's step away from crypto for a second. If you're thinking about institutional traders coming in and how they trade, traditional financial markets tend to chop around resistance. They break it briefly, take out the first level of stops behind, and then that comes back and retraces. It's observable across many asset classes, pretty traditional way of trading. It's why technical analysis around resistance levels exists. So if you were putting a gun to my head and saying what's going to happen, I suspect we break through 4K. A lot of people take profit, stops get taken out, it retraces back. You chop around at maybe 3.9 or 3.95. People go, oh shit, did we just make very small new highs above 4K, or not all-time highs, but new highs, and then we come right back. And then it will, right when everyone's not positioned for it, go again. And that's when it can potentially go. And that's where you might get this like elevated move through. I mean, you can kind of see it in the chart if you look at the sideways chop between May and early July when it was 2,400 to 2,800 for a long time. It tested slightly higher, broke up, broke down, broke up slightly higher, and then really took out stops to the downside before it exploded higher when we really saw this move. It's that little period there at the end, yeah. So I think you'll see some sort of similarities in the chart. This is just my personal opinion, in this 4K level, that you'll see sort of tests and breaks, small chops, and it will feel painful. And then ultimately, right when no one's positioned, that's when it goes. I suspect there are a decent.
That was a long one too. That was like 80 some days.
Yeah, that's an extra painful one for sure. And that sort of felt like I certainly felt it at 2,200 when it slid back down. It was like, oh great, here we go, we're going back to 1,500 again, and this is the thing. But to your point, Tyler, I think we saw some pretty what seemingly seemed to be bearish news on the Bitcoin whale wallets waking up and rotating and sending to Galaxy, and I'm sure you guys will discuss that as well. And then the market just ate it up. Again, adds to the institutional demand picture. Like there are willing buyers at those price levels in any sort of style of execution, really. And where do those funds flow? Like it's a pretty long bow to stretch to say someone held that Bitcoin all the way up from where they bought it to, what was it, nine something billion?
9.6 billion from 54K.
9.6 billion. And that's just them cashing out and going to live on a beach. I suspect there's some rotation, at least part of it. Maybe a bill goes to the beachfront mansion and the rest goes into like Ethereum is the theory, right? I think all bull market runs have been like we talk about the cycle of like Bitcoin and Ethereum and alts move and the waves that go through. It's usually that stuff is related to like the profit taking of the maxis holding Bitcoin and it leads and then they make money. So they rotate some of it out, keep a core bag, rotate some into ETH, rotate some into alts. And that's where you start to see the rotational price action. And I think we've still got that to come. So there's a bullish take for you.
I like it.
I like
What
that.
is I'm curious for your Bitcoin point of view. So I think like Bob Lucas is one of the quants that we follow on the show. He said his weekly cycle analysis says Bitcoin going to 120K, 140K in the next 2 to 4 weeks before putting in a local top. We have Udi on the other side of the spectrum calling for 400K at the end of this year.
I mean, some of those calls were like outlandish like 6 months ago. And now it's like 400K is like, 250K is certainly not like a bizarre call for people to make. Like 4 to 6 weeks is not my sort of wheelhouse. Like, I think you're talking about like human factors, taking profit, flow of funds, people on holidays, time of year, like all of those sort of factors go in. What I still lean on is like institutional demand into the selling pressure that we saw. Institutional ongoing demand is not going to rotate out. You'll have ETF outflows and everyone will freak out because we're really short-term thinkers. But the reality is that happens every day in every other ETF. Inflows, outflows, inflows, outflows. It's the net aggregate. What you're looking at is this asset being adopted by more and more institutional investors. And what are we going to see over the next 1 year, 2 years? We are going to see pension fund after pension fund after sovereign fund go, we need to have some exposure. Is it 0.5%? Don't know. Is it 1%? Don't know. But it's something. It's something versus zero.
Yeah.
And these institutions are getting bigger and bigger, right? You're talking like Saudi sovereign wealth fund is, billions, if not trillions of dollars under management. And then you've got like Canadian teachers pension fund or something, right? Their investment remits are a lot slower. They have to like do plenty of review. The ETF may have to existed for a couple of years before they can touch it or look at it. All of those things start to fall. So what I'm trying to get at is if those things we kind of agree are highly likely, if not 100% likelihood of happening at a pace that is hard to determine but slow, you kind of every dip is an opportunity at this point. It's just your tolerance for pain. If you want to go dip to 117 from here, I'll buy. Are you prepared to wear it down to 110? Because maybe Bitcoin whales rotate even more. So you just got to work out your tolerance for pain. But I don't see scenarios where this like completely falls apart. And then you've got the Genius Act bringing stablecoin flows into the ecosystem, which is just validation at the end of the day. Like it helps everything become adopted, but it's validation to the ecosystem overall, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else in between. And then, I mean, who knows where the Trump administration goes next? Like, do they go, right, we've got enough Bitcoin that we've seized, but we want to have more. We want more exposure. Same theory as like the Saudi Monetary Authority going and buying some, or the Canadian Teachers Pension Fund. It's just exposure. These institutions need it in any sort of size. This is flow of funds that is super meaningful. And if you look at traditional financial markets, the macro landscape, people are tracking that. They're tracking flow of funds. There's technical analysis, entry points, and hedge fund positioning, real money positioning, but absolute like total net aggregate flow of funds into currencies, out of currencies, into commodities, out of commodities. Where are people? Are they holding hard assets, soft assets? That's what like economists talk about. And Bitcoin is undoubtedly a macro instrument. Like it's just what it is. You can't call it anything else at this point in its life cycle. So you have to treat it as such.
That makes a lot of sense. I think what I'm perhaps most interested in right now is this percent allocation from some of these big funds. And I think we were thinking it would be like 0.5%, 1%, 2% early on as adoption started to grow. But now, and I'm getting a little bulled up. Like we got Ray Dalio coming out and saying he thinks it's 15% gold / Bitcoin. And he actually said he leans gold, but he understands that the younger generation leans more Bitcoin, which I think is our read as well. It's got my wheels spinning. Are we just going to blow past the 1 to 2% allocation and go straight to 5 to 10% plus.
I don't think it'll move as quickly as like Ray Dalio, Gold Bull would probably publicly profess. Like, I think he's talking his book, like every investment manager does that has a microphone and a pulpit. Like, I don't fault them for that. Soros does it. Druckenmiller does it. Yeah, they're all going to do it. Does it blow past to 10 to 15% that quickly? I don't think so, just because of like the structure of these sort of large asset allocators are usually so risk averse or cautious with like how they scale into investments. Like when you're speaking to these guys and they're making investment decisions, it'll be like scaling into a position, scaling back out of a bit of it, tweaking and adjusting sort of what exposure looks like. You got to remember that they're responsible to like matching and meeting market benchmarks. So they're not your traditional like directional guy who's like, can I make outsized returns this year? They're measured against like the benchmark of their peers. So like BlackRock and asset allocators are measured against like the market standard and how much they beat that by. They're not like, can I like 4x the fund this year by going levered long an asset or allocating more than I should? It's like underweight and overweight measurements versus like the industry against them. So will they blow past it? Maybe over time, like it becomes a big enough representation of like an inflation hedge that the exposure acts as like a risk balancer against the rest of their portfolio, such that they could have that exposure. But I think that's many, many years away. Even if like Bitcoin becomes a widely adopted, means of currency or means of holding value, it doesn't necessarily mean you just need to hold 15% of your fund as that exposure. Because they're not trying to beat. They're not a hedge fund is kind of what I'm getting at. Hedge funds for sure, but I'm sure plenty of crypto hedge funds and even traditional hedge funds have dabbled in overexposure to Bitcoin versus what they would traditionally think to do. They don't think about it like percentage of fund allocation necessarily.
What I'm hearing is that there's more buy pressure coming. It might just be a few years down the line.
It's just persistence. Like it's just always going to be there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you have any thoughts on what's happening with the Fed, Powell, and tomorrow's FOMC by any chance? I know that's tomorrow. Looks like a lot of people are excited about that. A lot of de-risking probably going on today. Are we going towards QE? Any rate cuts on the way, or is that going to have to wait till September?
I think it's going to have to wait till September. I actually think like it's counterintuitive to think that Trumpian pressure is going to lead to him acting. Like I think almost at this point his legacy is resistance.
100%.
And like all the memes and like him shaking his head at the Fed the other day when they were talking about the building costs and stuff like that. At this point to back down would be such a like it'd almost lead to his removal in some ways. I think like you would lead to bipartisan support for like this guy's lost the plot. He's letting himself be pushed around by politics. We agreed that wasn't what it was supposed to be. So I don't think they act tomorrow, and all market pricing indicators are they don't. It would be a shocking surprise. I mean, the stock market's close to, if not at all-time highs on most metrics.
Crazy.
Like, what are they trying to? Are they really trying to pump the stock market further? Like, inflation, it depends on how you look at it and argue it. Like Trump reckons it's coming down. A lot of people, like some metrics are saying it is, but you have to be pretty careful with that sort of lagging indicator. You can't just overact early. Everything's super bulled up. You need a pretty clear piece of economic data to indicate Americans are struggling. To really cut rates early like this.
Stock market's ridiculous, dude. Wow. That's just nuts when you look at it.
It is ridiculous. Yeah. And it keeps coming roaring back. It's just what it does.
It's nonstop. It's literally nonstop. Anyways, Tyler, I know you had a couple more questions. I just had to go there.
No, this is great. We've been talking macro, Bitcoin, and ETH. I'm curious if we go down the risk curve a little bit. I think the last time you were on, we talked about hype. So you're back about hype. I'm very curious. Were you involved in the pump trade and or just thoughts on the fallout? It now trading so far below the ICO level, how that might be impacting the broader Solana ecosystem, the meme ecosystem, if you have any thoughts on that.
I think like a lot of projects, this is not pump specific or anything like that. I'll probably avoid commenting directly on pump itself, but a lot of projects launching through this window of the summer, the sense I'm getting is there's like a rush to launch. I think it's a mix of projects that have been waiting to launch through like even last year And then towards the end of last year, there was a tiny window between like December and mid-January, late January, where you kind of could get to market. And some things were successful. There was obviously hype launched around then and did really well. And then you had other things that didn't do so well through that period. I really do feel like the last few weeks, there's been a little bit of like muted interest in new launches, including Pump, like the headline grabbing ICO level and the amount that people went into it and invested in it, and like it catches short-term attention, but what's the like follow-on effect? I think markets are maturing towards this like revenue meta that people have talked about, where we're looking for businesses that are actually generating returns. I mean, it sounds like a crazy thought, but we're probably trending, if that continues, in the direction of like measuring the readiness of token projects to launch on like a price earnings sort of basis, right? Like how much is your revenue like generating for the token holders at the end of the day? And so working out this regulatory piece of how that revenue flows back to token holders is going to be important. And then it will put pressure on the projects to be like, when you launch a token, it has to be not the product. Like that's really the problem, token being the product. And B, there has to be some mechanism where the token holders are rewarded for holding the token against the revenues of the business that they're essentially investing in. It sounds crazy, but that's pretty much how equity markets work. And I know we feel like we're reinventing the wheel in so many different ways, but I mean, there's a reason that the world works the way it works in traditional financial markets. There's a lot of broken things. It kind of reminds me, I may have used this analogy before, but of like the taxi industry. Like we didn't create Uber and then stop taking taxis. The taxi industry was forced to get better. It's kind of the same thing. We created, like Uber came along, this app. You had like better ways to get out of the club. You could pay overs and surge pricing and stuff, and it's an improvement. But we didn't just delete taxis or the concept of taxis. They just had to make apps and get better and offer you booking services and stuff like that. And I think that's really the way this will probably go as well. So pumped up fun. Yeah, I think it's disappointed a lot of people. It's probably got a lot of ways to go. They raised a lot of money and they've got to show what they're going to do with it. That story has been shown to turn things around before, so that it's not dead in the water. The hype trade, the hype interest is certainly still there. As the venue goes, they've done a lot of the right things. They've resisted a lot of, flack, FUD attacks, whatever you want to call it, throughout. So pretty bullish on what they're building over there in the ecosystem as well. And then you got plays like Athena,
Dude, wow.
combining the treasury play in, but like a revenue business, right? Like you're now getting traditional financial markets access to a stablecoin play on a revenue generating business. Cool, like financial wizardry, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah.
Onboarding new users in a way, right?
Yeah, we have our own little one that we like at REKT over here on the show. So
yeah,
it's been good. They've been revenue
love those guys. They're crushing.
They're killing it. Rent $500 million this weekend. Retraced this morning, like 3 something, but 375.
Yeah, they're crushing it. But like the thing about REKT, right, is the really cool thing about REKT is you can't like fake drinks.
No,
you can't like put up a PowerPoint presentation and be like, there's a drink. And then because people will be like, well, where is it? And how many have you sold? Like, whereas a lot of companies in the crypto space can get by on like a really flashy deck and like, this is the roadmap and this is where we're going. But if you're making physical cans and people have to buy them and drink them and consume them and then buy more of them, pretty easy to measure. And so to see that translate into 500 million FDV, pretty cool. And a good reflection.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Then honestly, I know we're on time. Quick question for you on the treasury codes. Like, as market makers in the industry on the Euro side, obviously you guys some of the bigger ones. Do you guys take any positions in all that? Like treasury codes? Like, do you partake in the regular stock market? What's your thoughts? Like, just curious.
Yes,
that's been the biggest thing lately.
We have Aurus Ventures. I mean, Farouk, you've met Jules, you know him. He's
of course.
invested in MYRIAD through you guys, and I can't really speak to exactly the composition of his portfolio, but we do speak to a number of projects around this space, around looking at allocations there and getting exposure there. One thing I would say is like we are still at our DNA a market maker and liquidity provider. So like we are delta neutral. We're trying not to be like leverage long Sol necessarily or leverage long any token delta directionally. So we're really just making sure that we're providing liquidity on both sides of the market, and that's how our trading strategies work. But our ventures arm sits separate to that by its very design so that we can express views on early stage projects that we like MYRIAD, for example.
There you
And
go.
the treasury strategy sort of can fall into that wheelhouse. And I know our ventures team looks at those things very, very closely.
I love that. It's no, I love that. It's kind of, we see them spinning out every day, right? We mentioned this morning Sweet One, and
So I got a question for you guys on that. Like, do you think that the market will A, fatigue on that, or B, do you think there's like systemic risk if too many of these things come out?
I don't know if I've formed an opinion yet. I don't know. A lot of people love to say, "Yo, top," like, so many codes, but I don't think people. I think people underestimate how much money's on Wall Street. Now, we talked about it with Mando, like it's like $400 trillion. Like, what is it? Like, it was like
Crazy.
100x crypto. So sure, every shitcoin, I guess, a treasury company will get further down that top curve, maybe that top signal, but
I worry about like the pumped up fund version, right? Where like everyone is doing one and there's 10 of each. Like I do think like MicroStrategy buys and holds and just keeps going. Strategy,
Yes.
whatever they call themselves now.
Bitcoin.
But like how many ETH ones can we do? Now ETH bigger market cap, bigger exposure, sure you can have a few of them. But then you go to Solana and you do like how many can you do? And then you do further and further down. Eventually we're doing 5,000 of these things and it's like, oh guys, we just fragmented the liquidity again. That wasn't the best idea. Kind of the same problem we had with pumped up fund, everyone launching a token every 3 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Tyler, but we talk about this often, right? Kind of, I think we share similar views. Is that?
Yeah, it's tricky. I've been thinking a lot about it. Been reading a lot about it. There's, I think Nick Carter shared some comparison to like this trust product in the 1920s, right before the Great Depression, where folks were also paying 2 to 3 to 5x premiums for these assets. And then it got to the point where it was mania and there was 1,000 launching every day. And it does feel like that is kind of what's happening. I think I try to, like on an individual level, I think like the big players are still fairly safe. Like I feel like Joe Lubin, Tom Lee, Sailor's products aren't going to just blow up. We haven't really seen, I mean, Sailor has some debt he's taking on. The others aren't really taking on as much debt as I understand it right now. But the downstream effects, so I think like $90 billion has been raised in the last quarter for these vehicles. So you do have to start asking the question, so does that mean there's less capital for other like, true protocols?
Yeah.
Is there less capital for builders? Does that mean the space is going to stagnate a bit? And then is there also just less capital perhaps going into some of the underlying assets flowing around the rest of the ecosystem? So I think there's a lot to think through. I think my gut is we're still early-ish on before like pure mania. But I mean, the pace is accelerating. So like today I rattled off a new sweet corporate treasury for $500 million. And B&B for $500 million. We had the Dogecoin, the first Dogecoin one came out a couple of weeks ago, and then Game Square got into NFTs. So the NFTs ones are starting to come. So I think it's something to keep a close eye on.
My concern is that like, because everyone's sort of got the same underlying unease about it, like, is it one crack breaks? Like, I think you're right. Like Sailor and Lubin and the OG names that have brand behind them will resist the storm. But I worry about like, is this like a one house of cards sort of thing where the undermining of the thesis for one random shitcoin treasury strategy will just go, hold on a second, this is not going to work for X token 85 on the list or whatever it might be. That's what makes me a bit worried. Because like I think if you're doing them on an individual, like how they're managed basis and like how much exposure they have and measuring them independently, sure, like one can go and the rest will stay. But if it's a fundamental concept being like questioned, it could really rock all of them simultaneously, which could be rocky for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the bear case for how it can implode.
100%.
I'm really bullish on, again, I've said it before, but like Athena or like other revenue generating businesses. And I've heard of a few guys looking at it that actually have like real revenue in their businesses. And they're looking at ways to create these vehicles where TradFi can participate in that revenue because that's what they like. They like revenue. They like being connected to token price. And if you're using that treasury vehicle to acquire the token and keep it off the market and reduce the supply, a la what Athena's essentially saying they're going to do. Pretty cool possibilities of accessing TradFi and getting TradFi what they want, which is revenue.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
I love that. Some good takes here, Jason. Can't wait to see you again. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll try and mix it up a bit next time. Be a bit more bullish at the start and bearish at the end or something.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time you've been talking, market's dumping. So we need you to be more.
My bad.
It's,
I haven't even been watching.
We need to get more bullish here, Jason. But no, that was good. That was great. I think this was some great takes. To make some nice clips and excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see you out in Asia in a couple of months for a crack.
Asia in Korea Blockchain Week for sure, and then Token 2049 in Singapore.
Let's go. Run it back.
That could be
Tyler,
fun.
you coming out this time?
I don't know. We'll see.
We gotta get Tyler out to Asia at least once.
I was trying to lock him into a commitment on live stream so that he has to agree to it.
Tyler's got kids and wife at home, you know.
I got a kid now.
You live in Asia though.
That is true.
You're a quick trip. Oh, yeah, quick-ish. Singapore is off the map for everyone. Like that's just no matter where you live, you're far from Singapore, unless maybe you're in Australia. But it's.
I'm kind of secretly hoping they move to Hong Kong so that I can travel even less. But
yeah, I know. Hong Kong.
Token's too much of a draw card. You should come out, Tyler. It's a good week. It's really good.
I do want
Everyone's
to come out. Yeah,
It's
I definitely do.
Big crypto week always.
Gotta get
Let's do
permission.
a live FOMO now.
You would love it, Tyler, because also penguins and stuff go big in Asia. Huge, always abstract, pudgy penguins, all that stuff. So that's some good stuff over there. So that's always fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Jason, for coming. It's time to give away some money, though. For those of you who, thanks for coming, Jason. Appreciate you, man. For those of you who stuck around and saw the code on screen, because we'd always shout it. Because I'm not gonna cut Jason and be like, yo, that's the code. The code was ETH on yeeterboards.com, ETH. Sims, let's give away some money. Let's get that wheel spinning, and let's see who's gonna play some lamb chop with us today. Yeah. OX Golden Glory. Golden Glory. OX Golden Glory. What's his username? Is he in here? OX Golden Glory. OX Golden Glory. Are you with us?
They are here.
Where do you see them?
Straight away. Baby blue color.
Is Pornstar Yeet your alt or your main?
It could be.
Yeah, I
could
think
be.
so. They were saying they're your biggest fans. I don't see them. There's so many chats.
Commenting. I see the comments.
Okay, you see the comments? All right, bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let you guys read the comments for me while I play for them. Golden Glory, let's play some lamb chop. Selfishly picking lamb chop. I just really want to play lamb chop.
I'll leave it to you, Tyler.
Yeah, Golden Glory. Tell us your difficulty you want to play on.
Yeah, you know the vibes. Congratulations. You won $500. That's for sure. You locked $500. You get 2 rounds of 250. You get to pick what difficulty you want to play on. Do you guys still see my screen, Tyler? It's still on, right?
Yeah, I see it. He says very hard.
Whoa. I like that. All right, 250 on very hard. Well, he gets 2 runs, so you can play the next round on easy. I like that. Let's go.
All right.
Hold on. Oh. What's going on? Sims.
Do we break it?
Oh,
this is the line. All right,
man.
All right. Quick kill there. So I think he says medium for the next one. Medium and very hard. So I think we got to
Medium?
Medium.
Let's give him a second to pick if in case. That was weird, right?
Yeah, big delay. And then Golden Glory, do you want to keep do you want to try to run to the tracks or do you want to do this one by one here? And you can go ahead and do the first jump.
First jump, okay. On medium, right?
Yep, confirm medium.
Let me lower the sound. Come on. It's buggy, man. I don't like this, Mando. There you go.
Okay, we're clear. All right. All right, let's go to 2. Oh, wait, well, I guess Golden Glory, I don't know what you want to do here. Do we want to try to run to the tracks or do you want to try to stop
to the tracks? To the
tracks.
tracks.
To the tracks.
What do you say? What do you say? I can't read.
We're still waiting.
Golden Glory!
To the tracks. All right, to the tracks. We got the green light.
Actually.
Yeah, to the tracks.
Boom, 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 boom.
Come on.
Yes!
Go! Come on.
No way. What?
All right, Homer. That was a nice one.
That is.
Wait, Mando's texting us right now. Get his ass on here, bro. Where you at, Mando? Let's go.
All right, chat. Calm down. We got to figure out what he.
All right, calm down, chat.
All right, what do you want to do? Now you got a real decision on your hand. You can cash out $1,500, or
So
you can go for $2,100.
Let's kind of put this in perspective. He's got 500 banked.
Yeah.
If he walked away now, that'd be 2,073. But if he goes for it,
Dude,
it's 2,700 if you get one more.
To the barn!
2K won't say it's
2K,
stop. That is an insane to do it on medium.
What does that mean? Does that mean cash out or go?
Oh wait, does he
Keep the cash? Do you want to cash? Do you want to cash? Go. No,
cash or go? Very simple.
Cash
or go.
I think he's saying cash out.
Stop, please stop.
Cash out. He's very clear. He wants to cash out. All right, good run. Okay,
let's make our calls. Sims, Tyler, and I. Where do we think this was going?
I think I would go one more and then stop.
I think this will kill you. I really do.
You think this kills? Tyler says the 3K is the killer. I say this one's on 10K, 10.225. All right, cashing it out.
You're cashing out. You won 2K.
Oh wow! Oh, we could have made it a little more, but hey, congratulations!
Yo, that's sick.
Congratulations! That was fucking I agree. Respect. Going for the tracks on medium after losing the first round, that required a lot of cojones. So Golden Glory, I mean, his name is perfect. Congratulations on making $2,100 on this morning's show. And with that, we'll see y'all tomorrow morning and back with the great Mando, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of FOMO Hour on REKT Radio. Let's go.